What up, y'all? Welcome back to Sexton Accountability. Today, I want to talk about recovery meetings. Okay, so let's get right into it. So, the most prominent recovery meetings out there are going to be AA and NA. These are 12-step programs, and they are institutionalized. They're a part of our court system. They are the most prominent. They are the most widely accepted. Okay, and there are other recovery meetings like Smart Recovery. There is LifeRing Recovery. There is Refuge Recovery. There's Celebrate Recovery, which is like Christian based. All right. But today I want to focus on in-person meetings. Okay. So if you go to 12-step, they're going to tell you, if you're new, go to 90 meetings in 90 days. Okay. And so this is just very immersive and intensive. So it can be really good for people to they're doing it every single day. They're getting used to it. They're getting comfortable sharing in a formal meeting in that context. Like, it's great. The thing is, like, specifically during COVID, in-person meetings were taken away. So people who went to meetings for years now did not have that place, and it was on Zoom now. And I personally just know of a couple people who went off the rails because they did not have in-person meetings. I know someone who was in long-term recovery who took their life, and basically a lot of it had to do with them not having that place in person to go to. All right. So this is extremely concerning. I'm not sharing this to discourage in-person meetings. And there's a few things I want to touch on in this video, but I personally think it's very important to utilize online meetings because, look, the whole COVID thing is a prime example that they can really just take all that stuff away. All right. And I'm not going to go into that, okay? But the point of this video is that we need to have options that are sustainable. And this is not discouraging in-person meetings. I just think that a lot of people who frequent in-person meetings, they kind of invalidate online meetings. You know what I mean? And I don't agree with that. So I have my own Recovery D program called Alternative Recovery, and I run meetings on Clubhouse. And I just really wanted to mention that Clubhouse is an amazing place for online meetings. It is audio only. There's no video or anything. So it's not like super intimidating for people that are looking into recovery meetings. You know what I mean? So I encourage Clubhouse. It's a great place. Of course, Zoom meetings, and really just having something that you can access at any time without having to go anywhere. You know what I mean? And like I said, this is not discouraging in-person meetings, but it's like, if you have something in your life like that if it's taken away, that you will lose all of your connection and like your mental health will greatly decline. It's something to consider. You know what I mean? And of course, there are things like that when it comes to like therapy, counseling, and all that. You know, like, that's a different story. I'm talking about like in-person communities that are based on peer support. So I think it's really important, and it really just kind of shows that we need to have our own support communities that we can access through our phones. And, you know, just through the internet, it's an amazing resource. You know, on Clubhouse, you can literally have people from all around the world all in the same meeting. So it's a really good option. I'm going to speak on this really quick, and then I'll kind of wrap it up. But so a lot of people feel that specifically like 12-step programs are basically like a replacement for substance use, to where it's like the person then becomes addicted to the meeting. You know what I mean? And I understand that way of thinking. It's a little bit different because, like, in order for something to be qualified as an addiction, it has to cause negative consequences. So if that's not causing negative consequences, I wouldn't say that's an addiction. I would say that is literally a habit or something that you like to partake in. You know what I mean? Like, there's a big difference between that. But I would say that it does become a dependency. And there's a big difference between addiction and dependency. That's the topic for another video. But basically what ends up happening is that there's a dependency on that resource. And I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying it's something to consider. It's something to definitely consider. Personally, you know, I did the whole 90 meetings in 90 days. I went to sometimes 2 meetings a day and stuff like that. And after I kind of detached from 12-step, there's this idea that basically, if you don't go to meetings in person as someone in recovery, then you're going to relapse. I do not agree with that at all. My recovery actually got more stable when I stopped focusing and hyper focusing on going to meetings every single day. That's just my experience. I'm not discouraging people from going to in-person meetings. My experience was that basically that obsession and that dependency it was really hard on me, and it hurt my mental health. And even just just hearing some of the stuff that I kept hearing over and over again, it wasn't really helping me anymore. I already, was able to accept my experience and integrate that and move on. And so sometimes it just seemed redundant, to be completely honest. And that repetitive, just that repetitive nature can be very, very valuable. I'm not downing that. That's like something that I'm a huge proponent of. I advocate for that, and I suggest that to the clients that I work with. But you can hit a point to where it's it just becomes redundant, and it's okay, let's branch out from here. And so basically the point that I want to make throughout this video is that your recovery, you're in charge of your recovery. And if someone's trying to induce fear and make you feel you shouldn't have opinions on what you resonate with, or standards that you accept, and what you want and all this other stuff, that's authoritarian, and that's not healthy. So I think that each individual, after you get some stability, you have your intuition. It's in alignment. You can make decisions that are based on your well-being. You know what I mean? I think it's just when we're fresh out of substance use disorder, we basically self-sabotage for so long that our brain just kind of feels like it just tries to get you to keep self-sabotaging in any way that you can. So I do understand the importance of extremely intensive meetings and all of that. And like I said, I'm not discouraging that. I'm just saying, when it comes to this long-term recovery thing, this needs to be sustainable. This needs to be realistic. And so, once you get that stability, you can honor yourself when it comes to that. And that's all I'm encouraging. So that's it for tonight. Much love. Like and subscribe. Hit me up at sextonaccountability.com if you want a consultation. Peace.